handed out to you all is a sample op test. Now, as you see, you've completed the answers on it, and what I want to do is do a review so that way we can look over and see some places where a lot of people have missed test questions. The op test, the official practice test, like the GED test, they're telling us now that we can only give those 3 times in a year. So if somebody takes the GED test and they mess up on it, they can take it again twice. The same thing goes with the official practice test. So the point of me doing a class like this is to go over this, analyze why the questions were missed that were missed on the official practice test the first time, so that way they're not missed on a second official practice test. And what we're doing today has to do with the reading section. We're going to be looking specifically, there's 3 reading sections on that official practice test. There's the reading under language arts, there's the geography or social studies, and then there's the science section, and those are all reading sections. We cover all those concepts in our reading class, in our normal reading class. But when you take the official practice test, the questions are laid out just a little differently than they are on the TABE test. So I want to go over this, get you comfortable with it, so that way when you take another test, then you're more apt not to miss the questions because of nervousness. As I've said before, a lot of times you all don't miss questions because you don't know the answers. You miss it because you scan over it too fast, or you fail to read it for what it's asking, okay? So let's look through these. There's 10 questions here I want to get covered in the time period that we have, but be sure to ask questions if there's something that you don't understand. You should have a paper that looks like this, and this is your official test. It's color-coded all the way through, and your test will be that way as well as the GED test. So pay attention to color because it's in color for a reason, okay? The first one says, along the fall line, waterways from the higher inland areas drop to lower coastal plains, either as waterfalls or a series of rapids. Many important manufacturing and harbor cities grew up along the fall lines. The fall line of the east coast of the United States is shown on the map. And then your question says, which of these is the best explanation of why cities developed along the fall line? What do you notice first thing in the question? What's different about the question? What's underlined? Best. The word best. So it doesn't mean, all these answers down here may be true. So it's telling you to look for what? The best answer. So be careful and don't just jump down through there and say, well, that's a true answer, because it may not be the best answer, okay? So as you look down through there, number 1, it says flatter land below the fall line is better suited to farming. There's not anything on the map, or there's not anything in what we read that supports that, okay? So rule that one out. Just toss it to the side. It says early colonists stayed on the coast of the Atlantic Ocean and their towns became modern cities. That may be true, but it may not be the best answer based on what data we have here. So kind of put that one to the side until we read the rest of them. People prefer to live close to the mountains, and mountains that are too rugged to live in start at the fall line. Again, it says people prefer to live close to the mountains. Some people might, but all people might not. So because it says that, you can pretty much rule that one out. Number 4, a settlement close to the river has a steady supply of water for farming. Again, you don't have enough information on the map or what we read to support that. It might be true. Number 5, it says ships could go no further inland, so trading was done at the fall line, and the waterfalls provided a source of power. Now, if you look on the map, you're going to see that fall line. That's what that yellow line is running down through there. So those ships that were coming in from the east coast, they couldn't get any further inland. And so that's why that fall line, that's what they were talking about. Now go back up in the passage. The 3rd line, it says many important manufacturing and harbor cities grew up along the fall lines. Now go back to number 5. It says ships could go no further inland, so trading was done at the fall line, and then the waterfalls provided the source of power. So that tells you, that gives you information on the map and what you read to support number 5. So based on your other answers, That's the only one that you could choose would be number 5. Any questions over how we got that? You see how we're getting it? Now, on test, you're timed. So you have to do this analysis pretty fast. But if you'll do that as you're reading everything we do in class, it kind of becomes automatic, and you won't take nearly as much time on test. If the first time you try to analyze anything is on test, you're in trouble because you're going to run out of time, okay? Number 2 has no math. It's just strictly a reading passage, okay? It says, in 1973, Congress enacted the Endangered Species Act to protect plants and animals from extinction. Many methods are used for protection. Residential or commercial development may be banned in an area that is set aside to protect an animal or plant life. People may reintroduce endangered species to a protected area in hopes of increasing the animals' numbers. In addition, laws limiting or prohibiting hunting, fishing, and similar sports are strictly enforced. The question, which of these would be most likely, and it's underlined, a result of the Endangered Species Act? Number 1 talks about a city ordinance that makes recycling mandatory. Well, this is talking about protecting animals and endangered species, so you're probably not going to find those in town, right? So that has nothing to do with your animals. Number 2, a protest by environmental activists at a commercial development site. A protest by an activist, talking about the protest itself. The protest is not going to have anything to do with animals, okay? Or it's not going to directly be focused on it. They may be protesting something, but that's not going to have anything to do with it. 3, the institution of high occupancy vehicle lanes. Again, that's more city thing. That has nothing to do with. 4, a ban on logging in forest of the Pacific Northwest. That's your answer. Number 5 says funding for research in Antarctica to study the Earth's ozone layers. Studying any kind of layers is not, the study is not going to harm them. It's the actual doing that would harm them. So you're going to rule that one out. So a ban on logging. Why would these people with the EPA want a ban put on logging?
It's because some of the animals live in the trees and around the trees for protection.
That's true. So when they start going out in these forests and they cut these trees down, then these endangered owls, eagles, things that are endangered, it's going to cut out their source of having a home. You know, they're not going to have a place to live. So that's your answer. Again, you're analyzing each one of these answers, and we're doing it slow. You would do it much faster on tests, but you would use this same analysis, same way of doing things. Now, we studied maps all last week. We're on maps now, okay? When you have a map and it's color-coded, pay special attention to the colors because all colors are going to mean something. Now, you see in this map, down here at the bottom, it has a purple box and it has a blue line over here to the side. And you see in the map, there's yellow, there's white, there's the blue lines, and there's purple. So that means everything's going to mean something. So at the top, it says which of these countries or areas is most likely to experience an earthquake. First thing you want to do is look at the map's title and see what it's talking about. So it says up here at the very top, it's got tectonic plates and major earthquake zones of the world. So you're looking at a layout of the world, and you're looking at the places where major earthquakes would most likely happen. Now the purple areas are where proper conditions exist for earthquakes to occur. So they have conditions in those areas for earthquakes. Now it says plate boundary for that blue line that runs through there. You have to look in the map. It told you on the title that it was talking about tectonic plates, and then these blue lines are the boundaries. So when you look at the map, where are the tectonic plates? What color are they? The tectonic plates are actually the white areas.